Hello and welcome to another Raggy's Beers, Wines and Spirits review. Today I'm going to be reviewing new for me because I've never seen it before, from, bloody hell, which one was it? Woodgate, is that Audi or Lidl? Oh no. Lidl. Yeah, Woodgate Apple and Elderflower Craft Cider, so that's it. I presume it's new out. I've never seen it. I don't know. I haven't been going into Lidl as much as we used to. The wife's such a brand snob, and she won't go in, you know. Yet the steaks in Lidl, I think, and Aldi are much better than the steaks you get from the likes of Tesco's, etc. But, you know, you can't convince some people, you know. And in this days of, you know, where we go shopping, you know, brands, you know, some brands are nasty. You know, there's no getting away from it. Some brands are disgusting. I remember when baked beans went down to 3p, and I think it was Aldi's Coral baked beans. They were quite nice beans. When they went down to 3p, oh Jesus Christ, what did they put in the sauce? It was absolutely dire. And I've never touched a baked bean since. And that's been some years now. That 3p war was some time ago. And I used to like my baked beans. I mean, they didn't like me, you know. Bloody hell. You know, 3 or 4 days of eating baked beans, and you know, I couldn't take it. You know, I was like a car backfiring. It just wasn't good. So here we go. I've just used this glass in another review, so it's not a clean glass, but I did polish it off all, so it shouldn't shine through. So, apple and elderflower. I did make an elderflower wine last year. A good friend from my old work days on the city council told me about, well, he was doing elderflower wine, and I looked at what he did and I thought, I'll go and get some. And I did, and it made a very strong, originally it was like a port sherry type wine, and it translated in the end into a champagne, good sparkling wine, and it was immense, you know, the flavour. And it was damn cheap. The only bit that was bloody horrible was all the little black fly things, you know. Oh, they're disgusting. Cleaning them out, the amount of flies. And then even when I brewed it, there was so many flies. I was worried about the, you know, what was going to happen. I had to sieve the bloody thing as well. But it did turn out very nice. And friends at work who I gave bottles to, they loved it. Yeah. Then again, they are pissheads, so they probably love anything that you give them. Hey, people in glass houses. So, good carbonation and lacing on this. Golden coloured, white head, massive head to start off with. And that's for cider. You don't really get that on ciders. Ooh. Really sweet aroma on there. Wow. I was just trying to think of some type of mint, like a spearmint aroma. It's not, but it's very sweet. Definitely can taste the apple. Elderflower. It's there, but it's in the background, you know. And, only 4%, you know, standard 4%. What is it with bloody ciders and 4%? A lot of them are at this 4%. Good to see this Woodgate brand, which I presume is a Lidl brand. And let me do a quick Google, because who makes Woodgate cider? Let's do it. Someone's bound to make, you know, it can't, I presume it's somewhere in Somerset, because the Somerset cider makers are the ones who make most of it, you know. Right, let's get rid of all these. About 10 windows open. Right, here we go. Who makes Woodgate cider? Right, produced by Matthew Clark. And who the bloody hell's Matthew Clark? Don't ring a bell. unless it's a certain brewing company. Yeah, produced by Matthew Clark. Never heard of him. Brewed by Magners. So it's Magners then doing it. It's amazing, isn't it? You know, you don't realise with some of these supermarket brands who makes them until you do some Googling. And it's like cornflakes, you know, and cereals, crisps. When you find out who actually makes them, then you lose that brand snobbiness that people get, because they think, oh, Walkers make those crisps, and you think, and then they say, no, they don't. They're too cheap. Walkers are expensive, but Walkers make them, you know, and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how the British public are ripped off by companies, you know. But obviously, if you can get the general public to pay more, then obviously more profit for somebody at least, whether that be Sainsbury's or Walkers, I'm not sure, but you know, and the more astute of us, you know, realise that we're being, you know, sold a dud. Anyway, as for this, it has got a nice taste to it, you know. More like a traditional, you know, traditional cider than a fruit cider. And a nice blending of that apple cider with the elderflower on top. The apple does shine through more than the elderflower. So if you're expecting more of an elderflower cider, like you would with Copperberg, you can be mistaken. It's more apple. And certainly green apple over red. But obviously I'm not a bloody expert, you know. I do reviews, but you know, I try and pick out the flavours, you know. With some reviewers, and you know, especially wine reviewers, where they can pick out, oh, this has got an oakiness, and yes, mid tannings. You think, so what bollocks are you talking about? You know, you sip it yourself, and you, I can't smell any of that. And yet I went on a wine course, and this was actually up in Bradford, of all places. Not the nicest place to visit, to be honest. Didn't rate the beer either. Steak was nice. But in Bradford I went to a wine course there, and this was Sainsbury's head, you know, like taster sort of thing, you know. He was very high up in the company, and he was learning us how to, you know, drink ports, wines, etc., and sniffing out and trying to pick out flavours. And you know, it's amazing until you start trying to pick out flavours, because you get a drink, you waffle it down. You know, you're not there to pick out flavours, but you know, when you take a bit of time to enjoy it and pick out the flavours, do you realise that there are a lot more flavours there than you would initially think? And that goes across lagers, ciders, beers, wines, spirits. There's more there than if you just neck it. If you just neck it, you're missing out on the, you know, the what's gone into that, you know, alcohol. And yeah, it is interesting, you know. If you ever get the chance to go on wine courses, tasting courses, beer tasting courses, you know, whatever tasting courses, alcohol, it's very interesting, you know. Worth spending a bit of money to try. And these courses where you're pairing food with wines and whatever, very interesting, you know. It's well worth trying. You know, I know the prices, they're not cheap. I've looked in Nottingham and they're like 90 quid, and I'm thinking, I'm not paying 90 quid. Plus no one would go with me anyway, because none of my friends were too tight to spend that money. But you know, it's interesting nonetheless. So, lovely sweet tasting cider. Certainly sweet apple. Very similar to the Copperberg sweet apple I reviewed yesterday. God knows when you'll see it, you know. I try and do so many reviews. If I can sneak an extra review in, I do. But I've only been posting one review a day on YouTube, and I need to go back to posting 2 again. Yeah, very sweet. Elderflower in the background. It is there, but it's certainly in the background. Obviously good carbonation and lacing, as you would expect from any sparkling cider. The white head, and very refreshing. 4%, yeah, you know. For me, tastes just as good as the Copperberg brands, and that's something, you know. This Woodgate is obviously priced cheap, you know, probably at £1. I can't remember what I paid for it, but £1, whereas Copperbergs, etc., priced at about £2. So, you know, half the price. Well worth trying. So, not really my cup of tea. I'm not really a fan of Elderflower, to be fair, but it tastes good. Smells amazing. There's a smell there that I can't pick out. It is fantastic, the smell. I just can't pick out. Not without looking at what other people have said and see if I can, you know, get what they're smelling. But me myself, I couldn't smell it. But yeah, very nice. Out of 5 then. 4.4 out of 5. A very good addition to the cider range at Lidl. And a craft cider at that. Very nice. Although I still don't agree with 4% ciders. Get that alcohol content up. We want alcohol. Thanks for watching. See you soon.